themselves trapped in narrow alleyways or cul-de-sac, where they were mercilessly slaughtered. No one was spared, not even the little children, the sick and infirm, the old, the pregnant, the feeble. The air swelled in a cacophony of screaming and wailing. Women cried out for mercy as they were raped. Dogs howled as they were crushed under the feet of the soldiers. Horses reared and plunged, trampling soldiers and victims alike. The city was awash in blood and dismembered bodies. Finally, the soldiers lit torches and set fires that would reduce the city to rubble. But before they left, they carried out one more shocking act. They ransacked the church of Notre Dame and stole what the citizens of Courtrai prized most: 500 pairs of golden spurs, stripped from the feet of dead French knights at the Battle of Courtrai 80 years earlier, treasured symbols of a great Flemish victory over the French that had been hung in the vaults of a chapel where they were celebrated every year with a magnificent ceremony. A Frenchman who had not taken part in the massacre stood at the portal of the church and watched as a group of soldiers climbed up to the vaults, tore down the golden spurs, and flung them into the eager hands of their comrades waiting below. 2 of the spurs fell close to this man. He picked them up and hurried away. As he was about to mount his horse, he noticed 2 children, a boy and a girl, huddled together near a burning house. The children were beautiful, and he knew the marauding soldiers would take them to be raped or sold into slavery. He lifted the boy and threw him onto the horse's back. Then he took the little girl in his arms, swung her up into the saddle, and galloped off. The terrified girl struggled and nearly slipped from his arms. The man whispered, "Do not be afraid. I am a friend." The child looked into his face and relaxed, but the boy, seated behind the man, lashed out with his fists and shouted, "Damn you and your king to hell!" 1. On the 29th of January, they assembled at the Royal Hôtel Saint-Paul for the marriage celebration. There were various masquerades, and they danced to the sound of musical instruments until the middle of the night. Then, while the young lords thought only of amusing themselves, someone threw a spark at those taking part in the masquerade. Immediately, the clothes of the dancers went up in flames. The monk of Saint-Denis, Chronique du religieux de Saint-Denis, contenant la règne de Charles VI, de 1380 à 1422. Paris, late February, 1393. She was surrounded by burning men, hairy savages who shrieked and writhed and tore at their blazing costumes. Naked flesh peeled away. Twisted bodies fell to the floor and curled up in agony. Friends rushed to help them. The flames seared their hands, and they recoiled, crying in pain. A little white dog howled as sparks reached out and transformed him into a glowing ember. Musicians high in the air dropped vielle, trumpets, pipes, and a bagpipe that squealed as it fell. The king's brother stood at the door holding lighted torches. Another torch flew through the air, landed at her feet and threw off sparks that ignited her gown. She plunged into a large vat of water. The water turned to blood, churned and spewed her out, along with the naked man who hurled bloody platters and goblets. Flaming knives and spoons spun around her head, setting her hair on fire. The burning men, now reduced to red-hot skeletons, lurched toward her, and she ran to a woman dressed in silver and crawled under the train of her gown, only to be pushed out by a madman wearing a large jeweled crown. She tried to pull the train back over her head, but it slithered away. The fiery skeletons pounced.